One thing I've realized about bad habits is that they're comfortable. Not comfortable because they improve your life, but comfortable because they're familiar. And that's something I've had to confront about myself more than once. There have been times in my life where I genuinely believed I was changing, only to realize that I'd slowly started slipping back into old habits. And the strange part is, when that happens, it feels natural. Like your mind is pulling you back towards the person you used to be. I think most people who try and change their life will eventually run into this problem. You start working on yourself, you start trying to build better habits, you start trying to become a better version of yourself, but then something happens. Life gets stressful. Something goes wrong. You've had a bad day or a bad week, and suddenly the things you promised yourself you wouldn't go back to start looking comfortable again. I've experienced this myself, moments where I thought I'd moved past certain behaviours, only to realise that they were still there, waiting in the background. I think the reason bad habits feel comfortable is because they served a purpose once. At some point in your life, those behaviours gave you relief. Maybe they helped you escape stress. Maybe they helped you avoid dealing with something painful. Maybe they simply distracted you from thinking too much. Whatever the reason was, your brain remembers that feeling. It remembers that when you did a certain thing, you felt better for a moment. So the next time life becomes difficult, your mind tries to take you back to that place. Not because it's the right decision, but because it's the familiar decision. Human beings are wired to prefer things that feel familiar, even if those things are bad for us. And that's something I've had to learn the hard way. Because sometimes the person you're trying to become feels unfamiliar, and the person you used to be feels comfortable. Even if that older version of you made mistakes, even if that older version of you lived in ways that you're no longer proud of, familiarity can still pull you back. There have been moments where I've caught myself thinking, hang on a second, I've been here before. Moments where I could see myself drifting back towards old patterns, old ways of thinking, old habits that I thought I'd already moved past. And that's a strange feeling, because you realise that change isn't something that happened once, it's something you have to choose repeatedly. Now, for a lot of people, myself included, they slip back into these bad habits and they immediately think that they've just failed. They think, oh, I've ruined all my progress, I'm back to the same person I used to be. But I don't actually think that's always true. Sometimes slipping back into an old habit is just a part of the process in understanding yourself. It reveals where your weaknesses still are. It shows you the part of your life where you still need discipline. And in a strange way, it gives you another opportunity to make a better decision. Personal growth is often a battle between two versions of yourself. The person you used to be and the person you're trying to become. The older version of you knows exactly how to live in comfort. It knows the habit, it knows the shortcuts, it knows the things that makes life feel easier in the moment. But the person you're trying to become lives differently. That version of you chooses discipline instead of comfort, responsibility instead of avoidance. And sometimes that path feels a lot harder. One thing I've learned about breaking bad habits is that it's not actually about being perfect. You're not going to suddenly wake up one day and never feel the pull of those bad habits again. That pull might actually always be there to some degree. The real difference is what you do when you notice it. Do you let the old pattern take control again, or do you stop for a moment and remind yourself why you started to change in the first place? For me, one of the biggest realizations was understanding that bad habits don't disappear just because you decided to become better. They fade slowly. And sometimes they try and return when you're tired, stressed, or emotionally vulnerable. That's when discipline matters the most. It's not when life is easy, because anybody can do that, but it's when the comfortable option appears again and you choose to go against it. Bad habits feel comfortable because they belong to the person you used to be. They're familiar, they're predictable, they're easy. But growth usually requires walking away from that comfort and choosing something different, even when the old version of yourself is trying to pull you back. The habits that feel comfortable today might just belong to your past, but the habits you choose tomorrow belong to the person that you're becoming.